one little marker at the bottom, all lonely by myself.
Oh, look at
Oh,
me! I'm on a
no.
whole different continent.
Yes.
Oh,
But
so
Jet,
far Mendes is
in
loaded
lower
too.
dimensional space,
Oh,
dimensional
see,
Yeah,
space,
yeah,
you're right
okay,
next to
everybody.
us.
there you go.
Oh my.
Why am I always on the floor? No, bloody hell.
Oh, Mylin.
Oh,
Mylin, you're somewhere in
Island sheet. Oh, he's back.
yeah.
Oh, good.
India, right?
Even more remote than
No,
you
not
are.
India. It's like China or something.
Not the old. Was
Lemon tag.
that
Oh, it's fun. I love
Mars?
it. Thanks, Mendes, for putting this. Okay, Fizzle.
Oh,
What else?
Fizzle,
California,
yes.
right?
Yeah,
Mar de la Soir, yeah.
yeah.
That's a new.
And the
fun.
Baja Peninsula.
Hey, everybody. Also, I uploaded some of the recordings to my channel on YouTube. So if you want to see any recordings or some talk, there are not too many because I screwed up a lot of recordings. But still, there are some recordings you can have. You can find me on YouTube and just watch any videos. On the website page of the events, also you have some recordings from last events. But I think in the headset you don't see that, only on the website
All right.
thing. So yeah.
And
can just
Instagram.
follow
Yeah. I was watching one of your videos the other day. You were talking to
a guy
gentleman
from India.
about the purpose of life. He was talking to you.
Yeah, that was
that's right.
That was fun. Yeah,
I sort of
that's-
half. I didn't quite see it all, but it's very interesting. Yeah.
It's 1
Hello,
hour.
everybody. Welcome to the theory of everything.
Yes.
Okay, Mendes.
Hello, Mendes.
Come on, continue. That sounds good.
He does a good
The
announcement.
random speaker player. Yeah.
Okay, it's fun. Yeah, so we're all on time. It's getting more organized. That's pretty cool. Let me take that far corner so I can see you, everybody. Oh yes, and I can enjoy the view of that globe. Amazing. Okay, so hey everybody, it's Theory of Everything. Well, we have these weekly events where we discuss different topics and different ideas that we're interested in. Don't be afraid to speculate on things and speak your mind. I think by expressing our opinions and our creativity and our personal experiences and views, I think when we share that through personal connections, we can expand our own mindset. So it's certainly my idea and my goal. I think Mendes and I are both on the same wavelength with that. So yeah, that's the whole idea. So yeah, well, today we're going to discuss other dimensions. I just came up with these, random name and just started to think about it. So a little plan that I have today is the first thing that it came to my mind was like that good illustration from the Interstellar movie. So I'm just gonna once in a while put that recording so we can have that little piece and speculate on that, discuss it. Then if you have any other ideas of other dimensions, like for example, maybe like spiritual dimensions, or maybe some unusual states of mind, or maybe dreaming again. Last time we talked about dreams and lucid dreaming, so we can certainly continue on that too. So yes, let's continue. Oh, a hand raise. That's great, Mylin. So where do you come from? I see on the map that you're from the. Okay, allow hand raises.
Hi everybody.
Hold on.
Yeah, I'm from Uzbekistan,
Oh, Uzbekistan, nice.
Central Asia.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And I have a topic about a related topic. I would like to introduce research in biology. A biologist who is named Kon Slabotsky, who did a research on animal called prairie dogs, and managed to find that they have a grammar like we have. They have noun in their languages,
Oh wow.
verb, and they can communicate with each other like, hey, come here, or avoid, there's a wolf coming, or there's a snake, so that they can easily just alert their family to keep alive in those kind of harsh environment, because the predators can easily eat them. So being smart enough is crucial, as well as on the other hand, one side, how did they found is that it's just as simple. They managed to bring colors and then animals close to their family and recorded their voice and the same noun or the same web, just they talk every time when the same thing was shown, and they found that they have a grammar and
Do you
they
mean
have
dogs, right?
it's called prairie dogs. They live as a family
Ah,
and and also interesting side is that they have a for instance, if one family lives in say USA, they have they in the family they have own languages. In France, they that this kind of animals has their own languages, but completely different than other families. So still they have languages, but different kind of like we do have. And what's interesting about is that uh, we when we study about the biology and we heard about human evolution, all the time it's confusion comes to it. We human all the time a lot more intelligent and nothing compared to us. And although the creating mutant is really easy, even at home you can create mutant, but the intelligence it's too hard to create one. And this biological research just shows that this kind of gamma evolution or kind of intelligence that animals have that shows us how humans just have become an intelligent rather than those or biological ancestors, apes. Yeah, that's show um, kind of makes sense with these kind of research. That was what I want to share with you guys.
Thanks.
Yeah,
Thanks for
definitely
sharing.
check out this.
Yeah, it's very important.
Thanks.
I used to think about this phenomenon. Helene, let me take away your microphone so far. That actually different animals, different creatures, they see the world very differently. Like even in terms of colors, that's a whole different dimension if you think about it. Like I was so astonished when I heard about some kind of crab that lives in great depth, and they have like up to 22,000 shades of different colors that they can see. They have some crazy abilities. They can boil the water so quickly. Their like mandibles or some part of their body moves so quickly when they kill their prey. Actually, they kill them by boiling them because their movement is so fast that actually the water actually boils. So yeah, some interesting facts about animals actually change the way I see our own perception, how we are limited to our senses and our way of seeing life and the world around. Okay, one more hand raise. That would be fun to hear from Jet. So.
Hi. I just wanted to comment because you just said about the crabs having the extra vision, the multiple colors. There's actually also, I've heard of most humans have 3 cones in their eyes which create the colors. There are some females specifically, very small percentage, that have a 4th cone. So they would also see tens of thousands more colors for each person.
I heard about that
I
as
also
well.
I feel like they're kind of seeing into another plane that nobody else does.
Yeah.
So those are the people that tell you they see something and you go, you're nuts. But it's just because you don't have that cone, can't see it.
I have that experience
That's
a
me.
lot with my friends. Like my friend is an artist and a designer, and also she does yoga and stuff. And her husband is an interior designer. And every time we travel or have these little situations where I point at something and I say, "Hey, close to that blue thing," and there's like, "Which blue thing?" And I'm like, "That one." And they're like, "It's not blue," and they name something like a totally different color or something. I'm like, "For me, it's the same." So. Because I suppose because of their jobs and their mindset, they see more colors. And even culturally, I think many different people in different languages, they have different categories. Like as I mentioned when we talked about languages once, like in English, blue is just a whole spectrum, like the sky blue and dark blue. In Russia, there are two different words for dark blue, like that globe, for example, it's sini, but for light blue, sky blue, it's голубой. Two different categories for different shades. So also I think it depends on some things could be adjusted maybe through experience. Okay, great. I have some more hand
Yeah.
raises.
I mean, slightly less than just you still see that item that is blue. I mean that they are possibly seeing things completely that you are not seeing at all.
Yeah, even apart from that. Kumitsu, Kama Sutra, Kumitsu.
Hey,
Oh, it's
don't
a-
make it stick, okay?
Yeah, it's a local joke now. Yeah. I won't bug
I wanted
you if
to
you
add to the
don't.
color point because I've watched some short documentary on YouTube
Okay.
about specifically this topic, and it was about a tribe in Africa, and they have a unique language, and their language actually seems to influence what colors they see. So they have specific words for very specific shades of green because they're in the savannah and green is important apparently. And in the YouTube video, you have like a chart of green stars,
Palette.
and you're supposed to pick the different one, right? And yeah, I can see it. Normal Western people can see it because we don't have the word, right? And for them, it's like calling a difference between black and white. For them, it's completely obvious because they have a word for it, and they don't understand how cannot see it.
Interesting.
So that's interesting.
Very interesting.
Similar to like different tones in different languages, right? Where you
Yeah, great.
can't hear something that a speaker of another language says, and you almost can't hear the difference between that and what you're trying to say. I would feel like we've used that example here before, but I've had that experience where I'm saying this word exactly how you're saying it, but clearly I'm not because they can't understand what I'm saying. Just some subtle change that the brain can process because they grew up processing it.
Yep.
Yeah, they grew up. Yeah,
Up to 6 months.
I've
of
always
age. Yeah. Go ahead, Mendes.
I've always thought that when you talk about dimensions, it's like one of those webs where each one of us has a different outlook. Our different outlooks could be considered, different ways we look at our dimension itself. You know what I mean? So it's like a never-ending flow of interconnectivity. Just wanted to share that.
Thanks for sharing. Pretty cool idea. Yeah, the way we see. That's why I enjoy these events. Exactly. Like because we have all different mindsets and dimensions that we kind of have. Any other ideas or prospects to these? I don't have hand raises. Let me clear the table. Okay, so let me turn on the video then, because every time I forget to put any prepared material that I had. So that was like a 4-minute piece from Interstellar. Can you raise your hand if you've seen this movie, like Interstellar? Was okay, yeah, great, Jet. Yes, okay, at least half of us watched it. Excellent. So it's a good film. It's interesting because I think Nolan does a good job at being rather accurate. I heard from different people that physicists, they say that he has pretty good reference and reflection on what it is.
The black holes.
Yeah, he fell into a black hole. And a little bit that as well.
Murph! 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 No, 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 no! Murph! Murph! No, no! Oh yeah, it's better. Back in there.
Cooper. Cooper. Come in, Cooper.
Sarge,
Roger that.
you survived.
Somewhere in their fifth dimension, they saved us.
Who the hell is they? And just why they want to help us, huh?
I don't know, but they constructed this three-dimensional space inside their five-dimensional reality to allow you to understand it.
Well, it ain't working.
Yes, it is. You've seen that time is represented here as a physical dimension. You have worked out that you can exert a force across space-time.
Gravity. Just send a message.
Affirmative.
Gravity can cross the dimensions, including time.
Apparently.
Do you have the quantum data?
Roger, I have it. I am transmitting it on all wavelengths, but nothing is getting out.
I can do this. I can do this.
To such complicated data to a child.
Not just any child. Did it work?
I think it might have.
How do you know?
Because the bulk beams are closing the Tesseract.
Don't you get it yet, Tars? They're not beings. They're us. What I've been doing for Murph, they're doing for me. For all of us.
Cooper, people couldn't build this.
No, not yet. But one day. Not you and me, but a people. A civilization that's evolved past the 4 dimensions we know.
Yep, that's it.
Yeah. Isaac, you still there?
Yep.
There are things that happen in quantum physics
Oh, and
that
they
kind
was
of
talking
defy
about,
our
four
sensibilities.
dimensions of existence. Anybody know what those are?
I skipped the question. What did you say?
Does anybody know what the 4 dimensions are?
Like 3 dimensions? Yeah, there you go.
No, well, he said 4.
Spencer.
You know what he was referring to?
What's
Go
Plus
ahead,
time.
William.
Space-time is the traditional 4, but no, space-time.
I saw a.
Have you ever heard of the?
Spencer, would you like to?
Have you heard of the
something?
4 dimensions of human existence? Do anybody know about that? Go ahead, Spencer. Or whoever.
I don't see Spencer on the list. I can't give him a megaphone.
I don't know where I came up with the name Spencer. Okay, I must have put it from another dimension or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's right.
There's no one on there named Spencer.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm actually named Spencer. I don't know what happened there, but
He's gone now. To another dimension.
Yeah, he's gone to another dimension, guys. Anastasia had her hand up 5 minutes ago. Go ahead, Anastasia. I gave you the megaphone.
Mendes, you did have a hand raise.
Oh no.
Hey.
I'm just here to observe. I was raising my hand to something you said earlier about having seen the movie.
And did you forget about it?
I'm sorry?
Do you still remember your comment?
Oh no, I was just when you asked who had seen the movie.
Oh, really? Okay, good. Oh, that reveals a lot. Okay, so let's see. Mardella Soir also and Mylin had hand raises, and I do believe that you have megaphones, right? Spencer is back.
Yep.
Sorry, that was an accident. I apologize.
Okay. Okay. Mylin, would you like to say something or?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, good.
I do love these kind of futuristic movies all the time, and just the taste of the human being life beyond the earth. And but meanwhile, I know I have a background about those all of those science, physics, chemistry, and biology. But when I think about the living on space, I do believe that mm, right now it's uh, obvious that we will die when we reach any kind of mm, planet because we can't just colonize whole planet and save the Earth, whole humanity. It's just a one click. It requires kind of lots of convenient environment. Whereas, meanwhile, what I do believe is that one of the kind of saving human being in this galaxy or in this universe is another way, like in another dimensions, like computer. So we could bring our intelligence into binary world and then travel anywhere and then kind of avoid those kind of virus or any kind of oxygen deficiency in space and then do whatever we want without just worrying about this stuff because it's obvious that our solar system is going to die about maximum 4 billion years later, and it's hard to say life on Earth is just uh, not too much lifetime because there's asteroid or another factor is that cause that kill the life on Earth. But we should just be prepared and bring a plan B and make sure that we all will be kind of live after these kind of stuff. Yeah, that's my beliefs and my thoughts about this life beyond the earth. Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, very, very interesting comment, by the way.
Thanks
I
for
think,
sharing.
yeah, thanks. I don't see many hand raises. Oh, 3 hand raises. Good. I was going to, you know, fill in the empty space with my ever speaking. Okay, Spencer is back. Okay, there you go. And Cornelius also has a hand raise. Spencer.
Hi.
Hi. Welcome.
Hi. Thank you. When I first saw Interstellar, I thought it was kind of like catching up to the like culture, kind of catching up a little bit to the things I've been thinking about for a long time. When I think about dimensions, like there's always often been kind of idea when it comes to dimensions that you can't even like imagine like higher dimensions because your brain is 3 dimensional. And I've actually come to think that's probably untrue, because if you look at the brain, each neuron in your brain is connected to like hundreds or thousands of other neurons. So it's essentially very high dimensional. Like if you look at just the number of connections in it and the way it's structured. And there's actually a game developer, I forgot his name, was making a game called Miegakure, which is a 4-dimensional video game. And there's going to be a lot of puzzles in it, and I'm very excited about it because it's going to give people the opportunity to like solve problems and solve puzzles 4 dimensions. And I've already tried his I've already tried his demo called 4D Toys in virtual reality, and it's really it does kind of help you think about these things because it simulates the way physical objects would behave in a 4-dimensional space.
Interesting.
So I guess I'll leave it there.
What did you say the name of the game was?
Miyagakure. I don't know how to pronounce it exactly, but it's the other one is 4D Toys, which is available on Steam, and it's also available on iPad if you have a tablet.
Very interesting. Okay, thanks for sharing. Okay, good points actually. Okay, some more hand raises. Okay, Cornelius and Keith. How do I? Sorry if I mispronounced.
Hey.
Hey, Cornelius. I've seen you were working on your space. Yeah. By the way, the other day I saw a nice space that Cornelius created. It's like a, what did you say? It's a audio trip. Was it?
Like a soundscape, like a sound sculpture.
Yeah. It's pretty cool that you move in the space and you can hear different layers of music, as I say it. And as you move around the space, the music gets more layers, and it's kind of like a spiral that you follow, and the music gets accelerated. Pretty cool.
Yeah. Thanks for visiting, Cassie.
Yeah. Well, anybody, if you see that name on the world page, jump in to check it out.
My dog says hi.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Well, I just wanted to add that more on the perception than of the different dimensions. I work as a record producer for 30 years, and recording vocals is really difficult. And some people doesn't like, they think that they're in tune, but really they don't. And there are some people that they can hear really a difference between microtonal notes, right? But some people doesn't. They think that they are in tune, but they are just don't in tune. They are not in tune. And the other kind of perception that it's kind of interesting is the, for example, the sensitive skin. For people that has sensitive skin, some clothes are really, really difficult to wear, right? But people that doesn't have that sensitive skin doesn't believe that that's possible, right?
Yeah, it is true. I see when my friends, they have bruises and they have like this sensitive skin and they suffer a lot. And sometimes I don't even understand what their feelings are, just because their sensory systems are so different.
Yeah, just wanted to add that.
Thanks for adding that.
Like super tasters, right?
Fizzle. Let me give you a microphone. Like what?
I was just adding to what he was saying. It just made me think of super tasters. You know, people who have kind of that extra taste bud that most of us lose when we're kids. That allows them to like a kind of a greater resolution of flavor, but it means that certain flavors are more offensive to those people because they're kind of overwhelming, like kids. You know, the reason kids don't like bitter things like that.
Shit.
Yeah, thanks for sharing. Okay, Keith, what's the correct way to pronounce it?
Hi.
Hi, welcome.
You said correct. That's Keith. Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, thanks, Azzy. I joined a little late, so I kind of walked in when you were talking about space travel and then fourth dimension. So I wanted just to give my view on what I thought fourth dimension is or could be. So I'm fascinated by dream states. I guess I'm a little bit Freudian when it comes to trying to understand our dreams. And I believe that the third dimension is effectively the physical dimension, which is what we find ourselves currently on in Earth. And I think my definition of the fourth dimension is where we are able to transcend the physical, which obviously we do through meditation, and we do during our sleep when the brain switches over from our connected state to our disconnected state. And so I genuinely believe that we do space travel within our dreams, and that's why sometimes the things that we see in our dreams are so out of the ordinary. You know, we see people we've never met before. We have experiences that sometimes just aren't physically possible. And so I genuinely do believe that we already space travel and that we've already probably had multiple connections with alien life. It's just that it always presents itself in a form that we're used to, which is the third dimensional physical form. And I think I suppose the further up that spectrum of disconnectedness that you can get, then perhaps alien life will present itself in our dreams in different ways. I'm sure many of us here have much more vivid dreams than I do, and they create all kinds of creatures within the dream that we just wouldn't ever dream of seeing on Earth. So I just wanted to share that.
Yeah, thanks for sharing. I agree with you. That's a very good point, I think, because when you think about it, the vastness of space and how much emptiness there is, and when people think about colonizing other planets or traveling somewhere, well, we talked about this topic recently, and I said this is kind of a stupid idea to take your bodies into space, because it's very inconvenient to carry around such bodies that are very tightly and narrowly specified to the world around us, like to Earth. Conditions, even 1 or 2 degrees of change of climate change is going to be, it's going to make our surroundings immensely different, and even malnutrition, disrupts some systems that we have. So I think I agree to the point by Myelin that maybe that's there are many options how we can solve these problems, and one of them is probably digitalizing our consciousness, if we know what consciousness is. But I think the way we can learn that is probably by experimenting. I think the AI experimentation right now is maybe one of the ways to fathom what consciousness is, because we don't know. There's a big guess behind it. Like, if we create something that is physically similar to our brain, is it going to have personality? Is it going to have like something that we have, like consciousness, and this something that makes us different from other creatures on Earth, and to some extent. So I was wondering, if it doesn't work, then we go back to this idea that probably machines stay machines, and something, we have this divine peace, maybe, like you lost Anastasia, you lost your bear. And yeah, you had a bluebird before, and that's why I think this is very interesting and very intriguing question, what consciousness is. And maybe there are other ways to travel to other dimensions, and this is the most optimistic, I would say, idea. That's why I'm interested about consciousness and psyche. It's surprising how little we know about our oh yeah, your bear is back, yay. And it's surprising how little we know about our brain, about our consciousness, about altered states of mind. We have a very, very long way to go before we actually get, hey bros, ghostly brothers and sisters. Excellent. So let's move on to, so yeah, I'll continue my speculations. Tasty nuggets, I suppose, right? Let me give you a megaphone. I don't see full names sometimes, so.
Hello there.
Hey, welcome.
Oh, thank you. Basically, what I want to say, it's a bit of a tangent to what he was talking about, but if you can travel between dimensions, surely we would have thought of a way to do it, like through our dreams or something. Thinking about in the universe how we have antimatter and negative matter, that could be a physical way of being able to go through to a different dimension completely, even though that is expanding whilst normal matter is kind of what's the word I'm looking for, depleting from the universe, which is strange because our universe is theoretically an ever expanding infinite universe. Sorry.
That's fine. The quantum physics is so confusing. So whenever we start talking about it, I'm like, oh, we need somebody who knows more stuff about it, because it's so hard. It's so confusing.
I wrote a paper on my own theory of the universe, and basically the only thing I was able to write feasibly was what shape I think the universe is. And one of the only ones that made sense to me was a kind of rotating, expanding torus shape, which is like a donut. This is something I believe also thought of in 1952 by some Russians. And to me, it makes sense because black holes, they could, as kind of Einstein kind of puts it. Thank you. they bend space-time. So if a black hole can bend space-time, surely it could make an indentation. And since we can only see what is in our observable universe, which to us is a 3D plane, to 4D, it could be a curve on the torus or something like that, and a black hole being an indentation through torus, or just some sort of anomaly, as well as the. Oh, sorry, I keep stuttering. And
don't be nervous.
these antimatter.
Just feel free, yeah, because we all come here to speculate, and even if our ideas are not, it's hard to explain them.
Yeah.
This is part of understanding the ideas. Yeah, so.
It's really awkward because I'm good at talking to people in real life. I do acting, but it's just, I'm on here. What's happened?
Welcome to the other side. Some people who suffer from autism, they feel so free here. I heard stories that people who have anxiety in real life, they have the opposite here. So I guess that's the opposite situation.
Yeah. So basically, antimatter could be another theoretical universe, like a different shape or a different whatever, interfering with our 4D universe as it is in the multiverse, which could be in whatever. We could be in an atom, like Horton Here's a Who. We could be in like the smallest little thing, and there could be another massive thing out there.
Yes.
We've no idea. So I think the whole talk about other dimensions is a very interesting one, because there are so many different other conclusions you can bring from this, like parallel universes and stuff like that. But I don't think, as of now, we as humans are able to go to other universes, even though we might know what black holes are, or even though we might know what antimatter is. If we could go to another dimension, our atoms, as they are, would surely be torn apart and then either put back together or just split into the universe as they are. Because, that's pretty much all I wanted to say.
Yeah, thanks for sharing.
Sorry.
I gave megaphone to Helion, that's why it's a little bit noisy. I was wondering maybe if he has any comments on that, because he's rather knowledgeable at physics, I would say.
Well, I was just going to say, what Tasty Nuggets you were talking about with the toroidal vision of space. That's what they call positively curved space. It's one of the sort of three main alternatives that cosmologists view, because what you've described there is basically saying if you kept going in one particular direction forever, you'd eventually come back to the back of your head. Because space eventually, whichever direction you go in on a toroid, a donut, you actually can end back. So you can go around that way, around the donut, or you can go around that way. Either way, you can come back to yourself. So that's positively curved space. Most physicists at the moment think that space is what we call flat. It's flat. You can go forever. But there's also a weird concept of negatively curved space, where it's more like a saddle, so it curves away in different directions, depending on which direction you're going in. We're not sure about that, but a lot of it depends how much matter there is in space.
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken,
Just quickly to that bit though, the circle thing. If a blind person, if you put someone and let them just walk, they will walk right back to the same spot. Will eventually.
If they went all around the world, they would. Yeah.
No. They go in a full circle. You will lean to a direction that you end up at the same spot, and it won't be that long. Around the whole world, you only go.
Humans.
Oops.
Most people, if you tell them to run around a room, will actually run around in the same direction. It's because our hearts are on one particular side and our legs go more on one bit than the other. But I was asking, as you were talking about getting into the physics type of dimensions now, and what Tasty Nuggets was just saying, this would probably be a good point to show my page that I've written in my story about it. If you can go to halion.com.
Yeah, I'll have the
because I talk about higher and lower dimensions. Yeah.
Chapter 1.
I could probably read it out to you.
I just want to say I have to go, so it was lovely talking. But
thanks for coming.
I want to catch up with you specifically because you're bringing up.
Yeah,
some good
catch up
points.
because
I had something I
'cause
wanted
this is
to
something
say to
I've,
your thing as well, though, Nuggets. You said, why don't we dream
yeah.
about it? Well, we possibly do. I mean, that's why people talk about astral projection. And so,
Yeah, true.
not said that it's happening.
If you're going to go down to page 20, has he? Page
Yeah.
20.
Anyway,
Thanks for
on
coming.
the-
good luck.
For sure.
Have fun,
Yeah,
everybody.
thanks for coming.
Yeah,
Hey,
goodbye.
and
Yeah.
next, yeah,
Sorry,
Hey hangs around a lot, so.
I'm back.
Thanks for talking.
Okay,
Can
can
I,
you hear?
can I read that? Oh, I can read it.
Sure.
I can. Okay, probably. That's it. If you can make it a bit bigger, there we go.
Oh, sorry.
You can go back a bit bigger, then drag it down. What I was getting at here, actually, and this is available on the internet, Halion.com. It's the first chapter of my second book, but I'm actually exploring in this particular page and others about this idea of dimensions and how it relates to quantum entanglement, which is one of those great sci-fi topics. Yep. Oh, right. Yes. Try re-entering, because I had that earlier. Yeah.
May have to re-enter,
Try
brother.
re-entering. Yeah, I had that. I had that problem with the Interstellar earlier. Oh, right. Maybe. Yes. Yeah. Come on then.
I'll send a message to his website.
Because I want to read this, you see. So, yeah, brilliant. Can you go to the top of the page, as it, and I'll read it through. It's just this one page. Right. Brilliant. Okay. Go on then. No, you re-enter. I had the same thing earlier with Interstellar. I couldn't see it. Yeah. On your settings. Yeah. And it's re-enter events. Yeah. Okay. Hopefully you'll see it. Yeah, it's one of alt space. So what this is just one of the pages in the first chapter of my second book. And it covers a couple of common concepts that are used in talking about multiple dimensions, and also relates it to quantum entanglement as well. I hope you can all see this. It's quite clear to me here. What I'll do is I'll read it through, okay? And then when I get to the bottom of this bit, Azzy, perhaps you can just move up the last bit. Okay. Now, the first sentence won't mean much, but I'll just read it through, okay? Right. The science suddenly being asked to keep cars light years away from their living counterparts, yet still in instant contact with them, had already proven the mathematically predicted paradox of quantum entanglement between fundamental particles. The clash with relativity arose from an apparently instantaneous correlation of quantum properties when observed between pairs of particles, first entangled by original proximity, and then supposedly separated in space by potentially immense distances. The fundamental science behind such spooky action at a distance, what Einstein said, had evaded many smart minds from equally many species. Only a radical reversal of pan-dimensional ideas had cracked this cosmic conundrum, as those not rightly expounding the role of higher dimensions in universal reality moved on to exploring the dimensions in multiversal space. Against the pan-universal axes of normal 3D space, the extra dimensions critical to the mathematics underlying a theory of everything were necessarily wrapped into tiny extents, accessible only at very small scales. A well-worn analogy was that of a high-wire walker, able to move only forward or back along it in a single dimension, leaving a sufficiently minute and agile bug to explore a second degree of freedom by crawling circumventionally around the wire on an axis akin to a higher dimension. The idea that the three-dimensional motion over the entire universe correlated less with that well-balanced walk than with the bug's tight trip around the wire had been very hard to comprehend, let alone confirm. It had even raised theological questions regarding where, or indeed who, was the lower dimensional wire walker within this scenario. Could be God, of course. Yet the implications of dimensions below and far larger than those of universal space were soon seen to short-circuit the crazier consequences of quantum physics, including the contradictions so clearly manifest in quantum entanglement. To such a high wire walk artist, two bugs at the same distance along their wire's single visible dimension would appear almost located, even if they see themselves as well separated, perhaps clinging to opposite sides of it. So, observation up dimensions effectively localizes objects deemed distant within their own 3D space, opening the properties of particles entangled and then moved even far apart to mutual visibility via lower dimensions. In quantum terms, their entanglement merely marks a merging of their psi wave functions over the multiversal scale of lower dimensional space. That holds each within sight of the other, even after subsequent universal separation, as if kept in contact via their very own short, shared, and quantum scale tunnel. Only upon later observation of either particles' quantum properties do their wave functions both collapse, along with their space-traversing peak through their space-time warping wormhole, leaving each with a sigh to wave its friend goodbye. I love the way that the Greek letter psi looks like somebody waving as well. That struck me on that bit. Anyway, that's just one page from the second book, which I start addressing an idea. It's science fiction, so I can't prove any of that. It's just an idea.
Yeah, it was a good idea, though. It sounds good.
The wire walker is a common analogy. You'll often see that when used in talking about higher dimensions. So we can see the wire, but the bug can see the wire, but it can crawl around it as well. So it's got more dimensions available to it.
As if water, for example, for miniature creatures like insects, they have water in a totally different state. Like we have it as a liquid something. They have it more as a round objects, like balls that have like a totally different physical property.
So, scale matters a lot. So how big you are matters a lot in your perception of what dimensions are all about. So, but this is the physics point of view. Obviously, people start talking in terms of dreams, and that is more our sort of psychological dimensions, which are not quite the same as the physics ones. Anyway, spiritual. Yeah. Anyway, just thought I'd share that page with you because it seemed very relevant to tonight's conversation. So,
I
go to Halion.com.
Yeah. I'm gonna keep it at the page. Okay, so and I see hand raises from Anastasia and Jet also before you. Okay, let me give a megaphone to Anastasia. I think she didn't have word before.
Go ahead, Anastasia. You have the megaphone.
Okay, thank you. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. I have more of a question. Like, if there's multiple dimensions, 3, 4, 5, whatever, in which dimension does consciousness originate and reside? That's my question.
That's a very interesting
good question. Yes. I wish we knew. And
that's the one we don't know.
I mean, I would contest that quantum entanglement is in other dimensions, and it may well be that quantum entanglement plays a role in consciousness. So it could well be that there are.
I feel like along the lines of the physics idea.
Yeah.
If you raise your hand, I'll give you the megaphone.
Thanks, Sally. I was actually going to say the same thing, Anastasia, or slightly the same actually. Where you just finished off was what the question I had, or what the point I was going to share earlier. But I want to answer your question that you finished with, which was where did consciousness begin? And I'm sure that a few of you may scowl, but I believe that dimensions are over time, not just in Earth time, but in our complete existence. So, you know, obviously looking at religious or sacred or archaeological texts, we can see that, you know, human evolution has shown that we've become more and more advanced as we've gone through cycles of generations. And I think therefore consciousness has evolved from being very primitive in terms of like the animal kingdom, for example, to being what we consider ourselves to be the intelligent species. I mean, that's still debatable. That's debatable as to whether we are the intelligent species, but we certainly have come a long way in terms of how we adapt our environments compared to other animals. But I really like the multiverse theory in terms of that, you know, space is so vast that yes, you know, there is absolutely every chance that our existence here is in fact multiplied several times instantaneously. So the theory I wanted to share on that, when I came up with this theory a long time ago, was that every time in your life that you're facing a major decision, you in fact take both decisions, and that you split off, and you remain here on one course, and you split off onto another course of the different decision. So in fact, with that theory, we never actually die, because we just keep changing and multiplying and moving through each decision of our life, throughout the course
that is
of time.
one of the standard theories of talking about dimensions. Yeah. That everything, every decision point, it's not even conscious decisions. It's just things happening in random space that still branches off infinite numbers
Which makes
of universes.
which makes it even more plausible, Halion, considering I never read that. I just sat down one day and came up with that myself. So, maybe that's closer to the truth than we think.
People ask where the energy comes from for all these wonderful universes, but it's also not dissimilar to what I was saying about lower dimensional. We talk about higher dimensions quite a lot, quite glibly. That assumes that we would be at the lowest of those, that everything else is higher. But of course, it may be, and this is what I'm getting at here, is that we may not be the lowest of the dimensions. So there may be lower dimensions, which is very analogous to the multiverse thing. I always find these images of little bubble universes. I always find that very dissatisfying, because I start asking, well, what's between the bubbles, and things like that.
Well, I think it depends. I think
a lower dimension
on...
can do that in a smooth way. It basically opens you up to a smooth entire multiverse.
I think we've actually got mixed dimensions, within each of us as well, because I know spiritualists call it different vibrations. So we all vibrate, or we all resonate at different frequencies, and that could say that we're all on different dimensions, even in this room.
I'm probably approaching it from the physics point of view, that even when it's any life in the universe, what the dimensions? If you start talking about string theory, that requires either 10 or 11 dimensions, depending on how you look at 11. It, just to make the mathematics work out. So that's there may be more than just the 3, 4, 5 that we're talking about.
Yeah, exactly.
11-dimensional space.
I was going to mention that actually.
11 theory requires.
Well, in mathematics, when they try to prove these theories, actually, I think we even used that at school when we used to solve these simple, simple for advanced maths.
You did clever maths at school.
Russia, Soviet Russia, welcome to Russia. Right. And the shape of the universe that you were
All right,
discussing,
children, we're going to.
I think it was a Fermi's paradox, the theory of Fermi, and it was people were trying, like mathematicians, they were trying to prove that theory for like hundreds of years almost. And recently there was Perelman, I think it was 2000 somethings. He proved that that shape actually takes place if you. He managed to prove that theory, the one that you were talking about. That if you, I think the formulation of the theory was that if you drop a rope from Earth, imaginary rope, into a universe and keep dragging it, it's gonna come back. So that it kind of has this. Interesting shape, like something like a donut-like, but very unusual donut.
Yeah, that's the positive curve.
Ooh, I have so many hand raises. Oh my god. Okay, so I feel like I'm losing it.
Go ahead, Jet.
Yeah,
I got it.
Good.
And before you go, Jet, I just want to add that feel free if you guys have a rebuttal. You don't have to raise your hand for that. Just speak up, raise your hand too, and I'll pass you the megaphone so you can talk, and you don't have to wait 20 minutes to add on. Okay, so just keep that in mind. Go ahead, Jet.
Yeah, no, I got nothing to say. It was ages ago and long forgotten.
Oh my
so
god. Yeah.
It's all good. Thanks.
Okay.
I think Spencer has something wanted to add. Go ahead, Spencer.
Hi. I'd like to mention, kind of point out that there's two very different meanings of the word dimension that we're using here. Okay. One of the meanings is popular from science fiction, and it's like, I went into another dimension. So like maybe you go through a portal and you're in a kind of different place, right? So a dimension is kind of a place you're in, and maybe you can go between them with like some sort of like portal or device. And the other method, the other sense of, so like that also speaks to the idea that, you know, in a kind of the world in which we see maybe a small kind of subset of a larger kind of world, that there's kind of magic in things that's more than there appears or something like that. And the other sense of the word dimension that we're using is that we're using it in the sense of, I mean, the mathematical sense, as a kind of number you use to define the position of something. So, for instance, everything in this three-dimensional virtual world, this space, is defined by a set of numbers. So, like like each one of us has a position, and it contains three numbers: one to represent how far we are in like this direction, one to represent how far we are in like that direction, and one to represent how far we are up and down vertically.
Yep.
And those dimensions allow us to like walk around and do things. And if there was just one number, it would just be everyone would be just like in the center of the room right here, right? You can only define the position of moving in a straight line, like one way here, one way here. Two would define the plane, and of course, really, we can also fly in alt space, so we can go up. And that's the kind of second definition of dimension. Which, so when we're talking about the universe having 11 dimensions, we're not talking about there being 11 different kind of mystical realms you can enter with a portal or something like that. We're talking about there being actually 11 different directions you can go, like one that way, one that way, one that way, all perpendicular to each other, which is a kind of different concept. Which is has a lot of other elements to it, but I won't get into that.
Yeah, I think
the
it's even hard to
connotation of
imagine.
that is that they're all around you. They're not
That's what I was saying
some
here.
other place to go to. You just can't necessarily perceive them at the moment, right? They're everywhere.
Right.
You are within them.
In string theory, they're small. So like you can imagine that there could be a little dimension, but it goes in a circle, so that like if you're anyway, this is getting really hard to explain, but
That's the
it's
bugs on
like
the wires.
That's the purpose
we
of
know
this
that there are
event.
like three major spatial dimensions. So I was talking about like up, down, left, right, and so on. Like this acts like going this way and this way, going like this way, and then going up and down. But it's possible that like there are various mathematical schemes you could use to how you say there could be other dimensions that we just can't measure very easily or talk about very easily. And they'd be probably kind of like curled up into some tiny little thing in
That's the
some
second
like weird
paragraph, I
mathematical
think.
way, which is hard to explain. But
Yeah.
I think it's useful to think of those different uses of dimension because there's a whole different set of conversations you can have. Whether you're talking about this kind of mystical space version of dimension, where you could be going between different like kind of like realms and the mathematical physics kind of like dimension.
Mm-hmm. Thanks for sharing. Yeah, I agree with you. This is a
very much what I'm
complicated.
saying up there.
Yeah. It's a complicated, I think, concept, and I think the moment when I was able to understand it the best, I think, was at school, because our educative system was probably the heritage from the Soviet Union, and we had a very in-depth level of teaching there, where we had like chemistry, where she would explain these crazy spins of atoms, like the more atoms that you have, like I didn't know, for example, before she explained that actually when we see the picture of two, that atom that we traditionally see, if you imagine the atom of helium, welcome, hydrogen, no, hydrogen. So yeah, it has one proton, one neutron, and one electron. And we imagine it as a core and one
That's deuterium, actually.
Yeah.
That's
But
deuterium. What you're talking
and I was surprised when she told us that it's not moving that way. It doesn't have like one trajectory. It follows like or one orbit. It's like a mist.
Probability wave.
Yeah, it's like a mist where it's simultaneously around like the core, and it's everywhere at the same time. And imagine like as you move further down the table, that like there are 15 or 155 different electrons, circling around, and it's like it's crazy how it's there. You were saying?
What you were saying there is it's a probability function. It's the probability of the electrons in a particular place. But traditionally, Niels Bohr it was that saw it in a dream as electrons whizzing around the protons. So hydrogen is a proton and an electron. Deuterium has the neutron in there as well. Yeah, it's an interesting concept, and the idea of the probability is what I was talking about. The bottom one about the wave function. So a particle is a wave function, which is a probability of it being at a particular place, and those wave functions can overlap. So which is what I'm really talking about at the bottom there. And I'm talking about them overlapping in lower dimensional space if those particles are entangled.
It's
That's just a
confusing.
sci-fi
It's
idea.
just
Who knows?
confusing. It's so hard to imagine it. It's like three,
Well,
4
as
dimensions. I
people
can
have said,
get
it's
that, but
our
11,
senses.
yeah. Only maths
Our
can.
senses revolved to be in the normal 3D
I think
world.
the
that we
issue,
call normal, so.
I think the issue, as he could be, and someone mentioned it earlier as well, and you mentioned it as well, Halion, that being three-dimensional beings that we are, we have a real habit of trying to see things in shapes. We just have this need to put everything in a box, put it in a shape. And like what you've just described there with the electron, I remember making that same revelation as you, when I saw the diagram, I was like, oh yeah, cool, that's what it looks like. And then when I discovered it looks nothing like that, I was like, well, actually, science has sold me a little bit short there, really, because they've tried to make it something that I can understand by simplifying it, and by simplifying it, they've actually taken away from it what it actually, teaches us. So I think that's the issue with different dimensions, is that we try to. You said yourself, Halion, before that science is currently seeing the universe as flat, or it's seeing it as curved, and I kind of chuckled and went, "Oh, those flat universes." When are they when are they going to give up that idea?
Yes, that's right.
It's the same thing that we did with the Earth for so long, isn't it? We had the flat earthers, and then we finally accepted that it wasn't flat. We're doing the same. I think we're making the same mistake with space.
Scientists
We're
are
trying
able to do tests that do try to work that one out. It's not just conjecture. There are tests that try and make out.
Yeah, but they're not. But you've said yourself they're not.
With,
they're not agreed. They're not agreed on which one it is, though, Halion, are they? So it's
still
not a
open.
proven fact. It's still a theory.
No, it's just that it's looking
like,
more and more flat, but
yeah,
it could still
at this
be
stage.
others,
It's kind of like doing a test on like your in your living. It's kind of like doing a test in a field to go like, oh, seems flat, but like we don't really. Nobody really knows at like larger scales than we can see in the universe whether it's ultimately flat or not. Like we know it's kind of flat-ish from where we're standing right here.
Yeah, I think that's the trick.
We often do an over-analogize, I think, in science. We give these. It's like the multi-dimension one with the bubbles. I just don't like that, because what's between the bubbles,
Yeah, it's confusing. I think that's why physics actually confuses and encourages at the same time, because it confuses a lot, because it's so hard to understand these things. Like they're counterintuitive, especially with quantum physics and all those like things. It's really hard to imagine those things and feel those spaces and power of numbers. But at the same time, it inspires me to think that people just by thinking, like just by imagining things and working out things that are not visible, came to these conclusions, and they work. And it's amazing how the humankind got to the point where these things are understood. Amazing.
I would reframe
it shows
the
power of
physics,
mathematics,
thing,
doesn't it?
In that physics, what it does is demands clarity, and I guess this is that method in general. It's so the confusion is in the increased difficulty of clarifying thought, as opposed to what if type questions, which don't demand, but they're easy, they're enjoyable, and they're really useful, but they're not so confusing because they allow you to interpret how you would like, and they don't stop you at a dead end if you're incorrect. They allow you to continue, which is, again, totally useful. But I think I would, just to reframe what you said from my perspective, physics isn't confusing. People become confused. And to me, that's, a meaningful difference.
Yeah. It's just like that we're
It also shows the power of mathematics, that mathematics can go to these 11 dimensions. And in fact,
Also,
they were created to help problems with the mathematics, these extra dimensions. And the mathematics gets easier if you have these extra dimensions. But from our point of view, we only have senses to sense 3 dimensions plus time passage.
Doesn't the mathematics just seek to prove what it's theorized in the first place? So it's obviously going to demonstrate what it's set out to demonstrate, because most of the equations and everything was based to prove a certain thing that they're looking at, which
I think
can
in the
you get
case
where
of
I'm
the
coming from on
history
that?
of string theory, I believe that what was happening was that they were starting to bring in some extra dimensions, and the mathematics. Who's got a kids fight going on? So
Cornelius.
is it Cornelius? There we go.
Yeah.
That's it.
Mhm.
So
Big
and the
noise.
mathematics was getting more and more complex. Actually reached a point where if they added one extra dimension, and there's a story about that, but I don't know the details, but somebody once said all of a sudden it all suddenly became a lot simpler. So, and that's why they're very attractive, because mathematicians, physicists like simplicity if possible, because one has a natural feeling that the universe should be simple at its core. But so there was that.
Yeah.
There is a bit of that sort of story. It did evolve. It was getting more and more complicated. Mathematicians were tearing their hair out. My God, this is too complicated. And then they eventually found that they went to this 11 dimensions that things just seem to work out better. But don't ask me to work it out. I'm happy with 3.
Yeah, it's funny how they
It
take
sounds
the
to me
task
like
there, solve it, and come back with an answer. It's just like a magical space.
Yeah. It's almost like the opposite of, and the words just slip me then. When we start at the top level, then what is it when we go, like we said, when we go right down to the anatomical level, things become very complicated. When we generalize things, of course, things become quite more simple. So is it not just that same theory that getting up to level 11 makes it a lot more simplified because it's very generalized?
I take it.
I'm trying to forget the word. When we break it down to its lowest level. Sorry, it slipped me.
Atomized.
So sorry.
Oops, gotta go.
This is very noisy here, but I wanted to.
Sorry.
I have
That's
more
fine
questions always than answers.
What?
But my question is, talking about the 3 dimensions that I can clearly feel. The first one and the second one, did they really exist, or is just a construct for us to understand what is there? Like a point and a line, are they really can exist in the 3rd dimension?
I don't know.
Yeah, I'll pass to
I think that
anybody else answer the question?
any separation between anything really is mostly something that our brain is doing, as opposed to something that exists in reality. I think that the anything outside of our perception likely doesn't care much about the separation between things. That makes categorization, I guess.
Also, to be useful, a dimension has to be orthogonal to other dimensions. What that means is that you can move independently of other dimensions. So in R3, you can go backwards and forwards without moving sideways and up and down. So orthogonality is important. And that's where we struggle to imagine a 4-dimensional space. Forgetting about 4th dimension being time, that's another one. But our minds are really not really set up. But you can quite happily, you can compute a tesseract is a 4-dimensional cube. So we can all imagine 3-dimensional cubes, but you've probably all seen animations of tesseract, wireframe tesseracts, where they're projections of 4 dimensions onto 2-dimensional space in the projections. But you see them sort of wrapping round, so the bits expand and contract. But if you rotate a 4-dimensional cube, that's what a tesseract is, and that's quite a common one. You've probably seen that if you look it up, tesseract, rotating tesseract, wireframe one. So it's very hard for us to imagine those things because we just our brains don't operate in the 4th dimension of space. One of the things that always worries me, and I think it confuses people, is that people talk about time being the 4th dimension, which is quite a common thing. And it always worries me. I think we ought to say perhaps time is the 0th dimension. Then we can have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of space as well, because it's confusing. Do you find that, Fizzle? find it really confusing when people talk about time being the fourth dimension, but also you have 11 of spaces. I think it should be the dimension 0.
Confusing
Is it
because
easy?
I think it's really hard. Like our brains, I feel like are evolved to observe time as a passage, right? And anything
it's not the same. Yeah.
To relate
There you
it
go.
to
That's it,
relate
yeah.
it to something that isn't time is
Okay, I see.
already a very difficult thing to do, no matter what it is you're related to.
Yeah. There we go. That's the tesseract. That's a rotating tesseract. Obviously projected onto a 2D plane, but never mind.
Right.
Dear.
It's
And
not
that was
exact- not
mentioned
actually
in
what
the
it looks like.
Interstellar.
Yeah, Tesseract.
Mentioned in the
Actually
clip
said
you
that.
showed. Yeah.
Yeah, it has become pretty
But
popular.
you can go to any.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where? Where should I go?
Lovely. Where'd you buy one?
Kimitsu. That for a while. Go ahead, Kimitsu.
What's Paul doing over in the
I
corner?
don't see the megaphone.
Hold up.
Oh.
Back. I had a actually question for Halion or any other gentleman that know more than me, which there seems to be a lot of people. I've heard somewhere that the observable universe actually like fulfills the condition of a black hole. Is that true?
Yep. Yeah. It is supposedly, yes. People have speculated that our entire universe is inside a black hole because the conditions, but it's still open to conjecture. I mean, it's a possibility, yes. But we've talked about the holographic Oh no, it was in another room. We've talked about a thing called the holographic principle, about that everything, all the information in our universe is actually on the edge of a black hole in a holographic form. So when people talk about what's inside black holes, they may be meaningless, but yeah, we don't know. It is possible that we're actually, all of us, the entire universe is inside a black hole, but it's not proven yet. But who knows? It's probably something far more fundamental than that, I suspect. Oh, right. Oh, you got some interesting shapes. There you go. There's your.
I think I've met this channel multiple times. They have some interesting explanations about numbers and
in multiple dimensions. Yep. There's some amazing
I've seen
stuff
a video
on the
about
internet, isn't there?
Infinity's bigger than you.
There's this guy called something, and he has a mathematics like STEM lecture on some university, and he actually talks about 4D space, and it's quite kid friendly, so that even I understand. I don't know, maybe it will be here.
I think he's talking
The
about
likes of Vsauce is a good, interesting one, and Veritasium. They do some very interesting.
It's that guy.
Sorry, I muted you guys. It was an accident. Mylan had his hand up for a while. You like to add anything, Mylan? I'll give you the megaphone.
Yep, I have, I think. About the dimensions in the nano world, like in chemistry, when you look at the time in 90s when Mendeleev explored those atoms, his table, meanwhile, at that time, no one able to understand what's inside the atoms, but they were able to know their valency, which is right now the key of its electronic structure. And what's interesting about is that this kind of stuff was invented in 19th century before the atoms was invented, or kind of their structure was postulated. And the key concept came from physics theory, from ideal gas law, which is E looks like volume constant, and it was created by just it was postulated with these formulas, and then finally, the every element just found its it was postulated their structure by those chemical reactions. I actually made a little video about this. It's called "Beginning of Chemistry Valency Theorem" on YouTube, and I explained the details as well.
How do I find it?
Beginning of chemistry.
Beginning of chemistry.
Getting enough
But
chemistry?
the main thing about it,
Beginning.
the beginning of
Beginning. Yeah, I don't know.
and valency theorem. Valency of atom, I think. Yeah, valency of atom.
This one?
Which one is it?
Just a sec. I will see.
Go
Nope.
down.
Can you add the valency of atom as well?
Valency, I think it's a valency. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like, oh, I'm so lucky I know about this stuff. Atom!
Atom?
Yep.
Atom?
How friendly they are, right?
Right there.
Third one.
Right there. Third one.
Third one?
Although I mentioned a little bit of the formulas over there, I didn't.
It's salt, water, and what was it?
It's 10 minutes of video. But the main thing about is that these kind of small dimensions was found with just a little the big box reactions, and then finding the pressure and finding the temperature with these formulas was found. Right now, in order to deeply understand, you need to have a physics background, know the formulas about the ideal gas law and specifically Gay-Lussac's formula, but that's the key of to how the beginning of the chemistry was found. Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny how chemistry and physics was at the beginning like so well mixed up. I remember this funny story when one physicist he for some reason he despised chemistry, and he got the Nobel Prize in chemistry, and he's like, no, I can't take it. I don't remember who that exactly that was. It's funny.
Chemistry is really just a facet. It's
Super
just like one
fascinating.
step derived, I guess.
Oh, okay, they took away your megaphone, so.
No, I keep muting myself, and also people keep muting me because I don't have access to.
The hand raise?
It's noisy where I am, and so I have to mute myself when things go by, and then I don't get the microphone back. So.
Do you have the hand raise on your right if you're in 2D? You have some
Nope.
options on your right, no?
I was pressing hand raise, which is the number 2, which I just did, and it wasn't being registered before, I think. So.
Oh, you popped up right now. After some
Okay.
time, yeah, it's there.
See it now.
Yeah. I'm new to 2D.
It's
So.
Welcome
No, I think what it was I wasn't clicking it. I thought hitting the number 2 actually sent the hand raise,
I
and
have
really
that
what
bug
it's doing
too.
is presenting the button for me to click.
I had that bug too. I defined it by the sound only. Yeah, chemistry was fun at school. I had a very good teacher. She would explain so many interesting things. Yeah.
You know, I don't think it's critical for every person, math, physics, and chemistry, but the basics of physics and chemistry go a long way toward just changing the way a person looks at the world a little bit. You know, I remember the first time that I had this epiphany, and I say epiphany because I didn't come to the conclusion. It was just after talking about gradients in space and the density of electron clouds and what it means to be separated from a thing. This is all in general chemistry. My perception of what was between me and the thing that I saw as beyond me, right? What I thought as empty space, the air, whatever, really became this thought of gradient instead of emptiness, and that was like a really critical. And it's simple, very simple chemistry, physics, whatever you want to call it, just depending on which angle you want to look at it. It really changed the way that I think a lot. Just that one little thing. And there have been many, and that study is kind of a cascade of tweaks in perception, I guess. But
yeah, as they say, like when some kids they complain that why do I have to study these stupid things like the higher mathematics and everything? I'm not gonna use it in my life. And some people say that the goal of education is actually to teach you thinking, to kind of give you those neural networks to have like higher perceptions about different things.
nowadays the complaint is, how will this make me money? Right? This doesn't. School's so expensive that it's how does this pay off my student loans?
True.
Which is a shame, because the little literature even for a physics student is a useful tool to help them think and come up with new ideas.
Yep, exactly. Like it's like exercise for brain.
STEM is so important, isn't it?
Yeah. Education is.
Well, the other problem is that the teachers are really boring sometimes, right? They don't know how to teach
a lot of times
in a funny way, in a pleasure, like with pleasure and joy, right?
Exactly, but I think we're moving that way. There are more and more teachers on YouTube and everywhere, and now you don't have to, have many teachers because you can use some resources to learn from the best.
And the visualizations as well. Yeah.
True, yeah.
Visualization.
I love this video, for example.
It's interesting.
It looks good.
It's interesting. Like you're in 2D now, and I'm in 3D in outspace terms. And there are differences between what we can do, and how we can move,
how we perceive
just
the
with that.
objects.
So it's
most importantly.
We're looking at a flat screen now. You're in 2D mode.
Yep, and it's a total
around a 3D
experience.
thing because I've got the headset on. So it's sort of what we're talking about with dimensions, isn't it? Yeah.
Look how fast I can move my head in 2D, and you can't do it this fast.
I get rid of. Ow! Hurt my neck.
Well, yeah, that's true.
Okay, you see, we can do this.
Okay, repent. I give you a microphone. I saw a hand raise from you. Hello. Welcome to Theory of Everything. If you haven't been here before. Okay, he's trying to flee. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Yeah. I think this time we're going to finish on time. Ooh, Mr. Chemistry.
How many of you guys have got the new visors for your headsets, by the way? I just put mine on and it's driving me mad. Have you got yours?
The new
yet?
what?
I
the new
applied. Is this the
cover for the?
Yeah.
I had a rash from my Quest 2 actually, maybe because of that, particular production.
Well, you get the rash from the original foam, so now they've done a recall and they've sent out these rubber
I found
things.
it the
But
hard
I
way.
just put mine on and it's awful. It's worse.
Oh really?
It's stuck to my
I
face.
haven't applied,
I can't actually get the headset off my face. It's just like welded to my
no.
face now.
A surgical operation.
Symbiosis.
A surgical operation, and
I'm gonna have to just wear it every day. I'm just keep it
Oh
on.
my God.
I'll just have to stay in here
You'll have to
forever.
have a questectomy. It'll be where you go into the hospital.
Questectomy,
and have it removed.
A questabotomy.
I actually ordered some silicone covers from China, so they should.
Well, that's the one. No, that's what I'm saying. It's awful. The one they've sent me from Oculus, it's made of like a rubber silicone, and it's just warms up and then sticks to your face. You can't get it off.
It's funny probably how you look after that with these red things. Yeah.
You'll be stuck in 3D.
Yep.
Yeah.
Stuck here forever.
Okay.
It's funny. I get that. I get that
So-
rash too, but I keep wearing it. I keep putting the headset back on.
Yeah, I actually, it was so funny. Last time I actually tried to avoid that, and I used my under helmet thing that I use for my skiing, and it looks like I'm a, that terrorist person wearing that stuff. Like.
Azzy, how often is this event? By the way, I'm gonna head out very soon. But how often do you do these?
Every week. It's every Friday, 10 o'clock, when normally, if I don't have any
Cool.
extra events, other things to take care of. So yeah, keep coming. I
10 o'clock
didn't.
Aussie time. Yeah.
By the way, Mendes,
10
what
o'clock
was
which time? 10 o'clock European
Aussie's
time,
time,
is
so-
that?
Russian time? Yeah.
Well,
10 o'clock Russia.
Russian
8
time.
8 p.m. BST,
UK.
British
Mhm.
summertime.
If,
Yeah, but
by the way,
Excellent.
if you follow
Thanks,
the
guys.
yeah, thanks for coming. If you
Thanks
follow
for
the
coming.
channel, it should actually send you the notifications an hour before. So I think that'll be yeah. Thanks for coming.
beware though, if you look on the events list in Outspace, it always says GMT when they mean BST at the moment. I know the clock go back soon, so it won't matter.
Confusing.
But, yeah, they always show it wrong for all of them.
Yeah. Yeah, I think today we're going to
But
finish
I've
on time because as you can hear,
Yeah.
I have some low immune system now and I'm getting sick quite a lot. So yep.
Oh right.
No
Gosh.
after party for you guys.
How do I follow the channel? I'm
Ooh.
looking at the.
I think
looking
if
at
you
the
go on website only, if you can get
on
on
the
the
website,
website,
okay.
and even if you go to the event page, actually I had the poster for the next week. So if you find the poster, it's gonna have the channel on your left, so you can just subscribe to the channel quickly.
Yeah, I'm looking at that. Cool.
Also, we have
So
a
what about interdimensional
Discord.
travel?
Yeah. Oh, by the way, what about the next week?
Yeah.
That was like something about morals, something. Which topic did we choose? I didn't put up the Photoshop pop.
I don't remember. I had to look at our messages.
It was moral condos, if I'm not mistaken.
I don't remember at all. What about interdimensional
Can,
travel?
can you guys hear the music in my background right now?
A little bit,
It's,
yeah.
it's fine, yeah, but
Only when you
it's
talk.
not
It's a car out front, so I'm just wondering if I should mute myself.
no, that's fine.
Oh.
Yeah, it feels like after party already, so maybe we can.
Well, it is Friday night. It's Friday night after all.
Woohoo!
Yay.
Party night. Yeah. Okay. What? Let me have some speculation since it feels like almost an after party already. So, yeah, I think my biggest hope is actually that it feels almost impossible to get to other habitable planets and even to Venus and Mars. It's gonna take a lot of time. Even if we nuke Venus, it's going to be terraformed, but it's gonna take so much time. I think probably we're going to starve
Mars.
and die from climatic changes on Earth. So I have this hope for actually. I think Jet left because there was like too much physics. Maybe we took it too much to the scientific part, and I believe that maybe that's the most. This word plausible actually keeps me. I always want to use it because it's similar to the word please. So it kind of pleases me to to think that. I think the only way to travel and to meet other habitable planets, I guess, it's just like, well, there are many opportunities, but the first one that we actually mentioned today is to use cybernetic bodies and something that doesn't need oxygen and that is not so strictly adapted to planet Earth. And the second option is probably like these, spiritual travels, which is very intriguing because why I have hope for this? Because a lot of reports about DMT, they have this, creatures from another dimension and something. It could be a totally, a play of consciousness, but still, it's a nice hope that I would love to have, as an optimistic way to be able to communicate with other sentient species, maybe. Well, first of all, we have to learn to, communicate with species on our planet. I think that's the best start because we have very little hope, I think, for any other projects. We should start working on them, towards them, but I think to put in priority, dealing with the shit that we have already, a lot of problems that we have, and I think that's going to be the same good picture probably for... If we take time and take care of our own species, of our own planet, find connection with it, meanwhile use that time for exploring other planets and take time to terraform other planets little by little. But at the same time, I think we need to work very thoroughly on our psyche and our psychological development, because I think everything comes back to that. All the conflicts that we have on Earth, I think they're because of the psychological traumas, because somebody wants to be stronger than others and somebody wants to have power over our others. Why? I suppose because of those traumas. human psyche is very, very sensitive. It's very interesting to see how we get traumatized from very little things. Like, for example, very interesting example that my nephew is a super smart boy. Like, it's so interesting to talk to him. He's like a very mature guy, and we talk about different universes and a lot of things. And I just recently found out that he has like severe panic attacks and like a lot of fears. I'm like, wow, this is surprising. He has such an open-minded personality and like rather
But this
strong.
is, this is what I was. That's what I was trying to say earlier, Azzy. That our primordial systems are designed to protect us from threat.
Yes.
And that's again a kind of dimension that we as humans are still very much locked into because we haven't evolved as a species to get beyond this need to protect ourselves. And so, until we get beyond that, we are still in a very, very low, I don't like the word frequency, but it's the only way I can describe it. We are in a low frequency until we raise up beyond, these primordial, animalistic, if you like.
Survival, yeah.
We're still
No,
technological apes
survival.
at the moment,
Yeah, basically, yeah. That's what I'm trying to say.
We're empathetic apes, is what we are.
It helped us survive.
Empathetic,
of course.
Meaning we
Exactly.
are we're still beasts as far as it comes to compassion and competition.
Those are real-time responses, yeah.
I think that's very important to realize at first and then try to harness that, because we react to negative stuff much more intensively than we react to positive things, because positive thing is just like being happy. Being happy, it's not a survival. It's not a question of survival. It wasn't. And that's why we react much more to negative stuff. And I think that really affects the way we live today, but the reality has changed, and maybe that's going to be the next step. But some other people say that if you want to live in this, happy pony world where everything's amazing and they're like, unicorns and everybody's happy, it's gonna probably take the cycle of civilization to the next step that happened many times in our history. When you have this idealistic, nice society, there's going to be some other outgroup that is going to come and ruin that. And actually, there's like a brutal civilization probably is going to come and conquer this peaceful society.
Absolutely. So, and then we start again.
And
yes. Then we start again.
We
and
probably
it goes all
have
around again
had
and again
that
and again.
many times, yes, already.
I think we have. I think we've had it many, many times.
It's very intriguing. One of the last events, St. Justin actually said that interesting theory. I want to talk to him about it a little bit more. That he said that there is a possibility that we had like 62 times before us. We had these cycles, like large cycles of human. Well, not human, like civilizations, like 62 civilizations that came before us. And maybe they didn't manage. I remember about Matrix again when he said, "Oh yes, you are the chosen one, the sixth chosen one." We actually did.
I think I read something. It's 33,000 years. But then, and again, this is not an area I'm a specialist in, but they talk about it being, the age of Aquarius or the age of
something
horoscopes. But I read about for example, I don't know if you've read the Zachariah Sitchin translation of the Sumerian tablets that was found. I think in the
Nibiru
50s
and all that.
Nibiru and the Anunnaki and all of that. Now, a lot of that's far-fetched, but then some of it you kind of think, you know what? It does tell the story of creation in a different way, and it does explain, Adam and Eve and genetic modification, and the Bible is a very simplistic account of something that could have been far more sophisticated.
Yeah. Sure. Again, we come back.
I think the ideas about it. I think a lot of his actual interpretations probably aren't really accurate. I think a lot of people have looked at the Sumerian since then, but also they're a little bit sort of dodgy from the physics, the orbital mechanics point of view, and that. But some of the ideas are great. Again, I hate to keep on about my books, but the first book does deal with a lot of these ideas. I actually have the equivalent to the Anunnaki and the Nephilim, and I use different terms for them, but they're all in the first book that I've written.
So, I'll have a look at that for sure.
Go and have a look at it.
I mean, I was actually very fun to go over. I was fortunate to go to Moscow, and a friend of mine, she was a curator at a museum, and they actually had quite a few of the Sumerian tablets on display there for a while, and she knew someone who was able to actually translate the script as well. So that was quite interesting. But you're right in what you're saying, because once that got out into the realms of the internet, everybody was copying, fabricating Sumerian tablets and putting spaceships on them and
very
all
hard
that
to know,
crap.
yeah.
And sadly, it really ruined what was a very good, theological or
It's
maybe
still-
even semi-scientific debate. You're right.
Yeah. The stories are still fascinating nonetheless. I mean, there's lots of fascinating stuff. But,
absolutely.
But yeah, you've got to be very careful about how you interpret it. So, as it's
Yeah.
gone over there. Oh, yes. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. If you go to Halion.com, the first chapter of the first book is on, you can download on the left-hand side there. So Halion Eon is the first, and that's already published. And I'm currently working on Halion Ascent. In fact, the chapter I'm writing at the moment in the second book features set in Kabardino-Balkaria, but 4,500 years ago, and it features a character called Azzy. So it's not entirely coincidence. So you'll have quite an adventure, and it's meant to be one of your Carline ancestors is having quite an adventure, meeting the Black-Eyed Children and helping to build the Kabardino-Balkaria shaft.
Yeah, and finally I can show you on the map where that is between the seas.
Yeah, so I've still got a couple of more weeks probably to get that finished, and then we'll have a talk about it.
Yay!
Great
This
fun.
is very
I'm really
flattering.
enjoying writing this chapter. So well done, Azzy. I still want 2 names from you, though.
Yep, I keep
a
thinking
male
about
and a female
them.
name.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gotta
About
message
7
you.
or 8 characters. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. Don't worry.
A and B.
I'll just replace them at the end of it. Yeah.
Cool.
Ah.
Okay, so I don't have any hand raises. Let me dismiss all that.
Oh, see, look, there's Mount Elbrus. I can see Mount Elbrus.
Yeah, it should be close. Yeah, it should be close to my area. Oh, you can get inside the globe, by the way. Any ideas on what?
Oh, yeah.
What about-
They can't see us.
How
We're
about
hiding.
interdimensional
Oh, my
travel?
God.
Is that possible? Well, you think that can be something that could be
Higher dimensional
developed?
travels? My hope is actually
The trouble is, you see,
psychic, whatever, not psychological, but it's just like mental traveling, like something like astral traveling. Again, just a desperate hope. I would say.
We were saying last week about the problem of discussing these things when using English words, because they're really designed just for like normal talk, not for interdimensional, this, that, and the other. And for example, when you talk about interdimensional travel, the word travel implies movement within dimensions, so it almost conflicts with the term interdimensional. We have to be very careful about what we mean by some of these words, because they can conflict with each other and become a bit meaningless, really. So but that's a difficult. Well, we can do our best.
What's a better way to describe like the change of focus? It's like interdimensional shift of awareness or something like that.
Maybe, yeah.
Interdimensional shift of what did you say? Focus.
Of awareness.
I said awareness. Yeah, who knows? It's hard to even think of what it would need to be.
Is it not defined as a paradigm shift? Are we not talking about a paradigm shift when we're talking about shifting understanding?
As far as I understand, this combination of words like paradigm is like a list, almost like a window of accepted things in science, right? So
Idea, isn't it? A paradigm is an idea.
Yeah. Like
a set of ideas, a paradigm shift. Yeah.
Yeah, because we had to neglect
I do use the
Newton's
term.
way of thinking and like Maxwell's way of thinking and their like theories, but they were the paradigm before. But now we shifted and moved it, and the window moved towards the quantum physics and relativity theory, and that's why. And shift, yeah. I think the next step of a shift is a theory of everything.
Careful about the words.
Yeah. It's so luring to use these things.
See, that's it. I managed to get a theory of everything into the page we looked at. So there you go.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, yay! And yesterday I attended a film here, also called Theory of Everything. I'm like, oh yes, this is my event's name.
Oh, brilliant.
Yep. I think that's the idea that I liked. I think that was, if I'm not mistaken, I should learn more about it. I think that's the next upcoming framework that we're looking for. Like, oh, Paul, I see your reaction. Were you saying something and I took away your microphone? No? Good. Okay, yeah. I think that's an upcoming shift in physics. They're still looking for it, like to prove the theory of everything that is going to unite all those conflicting ideas of the quantum physics and relativity, because I think they are conflicting.
Gravity and
yeah. So yeah, we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, that should be
You know, I was just thinking. Well, actually, not just thinking. Thought this a few times, and you can tell me this one's stupid and idiotic. But you know, when empires end, and they talk, they talked about the Greek Empire, the Egyptian Empire, etc., etc. I wonder where in time, it's all right us looking back and saying, oh yeah, it ended, 1066 was the end of, the Battle of Hastings, whatever. But I was kind of thinking, maybe when they look back in history, they will suggest that we are still on the edge of the Roman Empire, fundamentally, because, Western intelligence, if you like, and everything still, I think, is pretty much hung over from the Roman Empire. So maybe we're still in the end stages of the Roman Empire, because I mean, certainly within Europe, without trying to be religious, the Catholic Church and the Rome and all of that is still pretty dominant throughout people's theories or ways of life, throughout Europe. So that was just something. I know it's not to do with interstellar and space time, etc. But
don't worry, we segue
maybe,
easily from one topic to another. Just
Well, the way that we think.
I feel like this is the most on topic event yet.
All right. Okay.
Yeah,
well,
that's why probably
my
it's
logic.
boring.
My logic is our way of thinking is conditioned by the empire that we're still remnants of.
If the Roman Empire hadn't collapsed due to whatever, all the incest of the emperors and all this sort of stuff, they were going a bit mad, weren't they? They were very clever people, engineers amongst other things. They weren't the only ones, obviously the Greeks and that were as well. But if they'd carried on that trajectory that the Romans were building, massive temples and all sorts of things, it might well be that we might be traveling the stars by now. It was only because we entered the Dark Ages, a little bit driven by overzealous religion, that set us back several hundred years, and it may well be
what
that
did the Romans ever do for us?
Yeah, I know. That's right. Yeah.
You mean apart from the roads and the irrigation, the sanitation,
law,
education, what did they ever do for us? Right, guys, I got to go. Thanks, I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Yeah, thanks for coming and lingering for longer.
Very good. Very good.
Yeah.
Bye bye.
See you in another dimension.
Yes, thank you. Will do. If I can find out how to leave. Can't leave, you see, I can't get out.
Where do you want to go?
If you press the mountain one, it's a tip.
Going
Press the
back.
mountain one.
Oh, yeah, they changed.
Press
I haven't
the
been in here
mountain.
for like 6 months. Oh, I'm stuck in my menus now.
Maybe you can go to
If you
the
want a quick
Discover
exit,
or maybe
press
to
the
comments.
mountain at 7
got
o'clock, and that'll take you back. There you go. You're instant gone. It's quite handy, really. Saves that embarrassing. Minute of
Bye,
pressing
and
buttons.
just keep staying. Hey everybody, I see some new people here, so I'm gonna drop in a little bit of introduction. So it's a weekly event, Theory of Everything. We concern very many different topics, and each week we choose one, but we constantly keep segueing to side topics, which is totally fine because it's a space to share ideas, to share experiences and opinions. Sometimes even if you think that your idea is strange, go ahead and talk about it, because when we hear other people's opinions and their experiences, their point of view, it kind of helps us discuss and create this space where we can expand our own mindsets. So yeah, today we are talking about the other dimensions, but it's I think it's slower than usual, right? Last time it was like very hectic. Or maybe it's just because I'm sick, that's why I see everything in darker shades. So this page that you see on the projector, it's Helion over here, the guy in a coat, very charming gentleman. It's his website. He's writing a pentology of books, 5 books, right? So they're like first chapters of 2 books already published, so you can go ahead and read it. I have to say it's rather complex, maybe for me, because English is not my first language, and I didn't read a lot of books in English, mostly in Russian. So
I'm amazed how well. Yes, I mean to think that you're reading this. If I imagine seeing it in Russian or whatever languages there are, I would.
Well, still,
completely
it's a
beyond
very
me.
good
So I'm
challenge.
really impressed that you're reading it.
It's a good challenge.
It is a bit challenging.
Yeah, I read the Doors of Perception.
I'm not dumbing down.
Yeah, I read the Doors of Perception by Aldous Huxley for a couple of days. It was almost understandable. Like, especially, I just realized that when I listen to the text, it's easier for me to understand than if I read it. So
yeah.
Keep experimenting.
You can play these 2 chapters. If you click on the YouTube one, it'll show you and it'll read it well. So yeah, one's about so it's got a synthetic voice, but it will
strange stories of fantastical events, sacred places,
So,
and
yeah.
amazing objects of wonder. Many show surprising similarities across diverse regions and cultures, perhaps hinting at common
one's
cause
about 2
or
hours and
provenance
one's about
in
an hour and a
ages.
half. So.
This is David, by the way. Hellion.
Yeah, this is me, by the way. In real life.
Yeah, it's always nice to connect a person to.
It's actually the moon.
I saw Paul recently adding me on Instagram. I'm like, wow, this is so cool to see real pictures of people. So there's my Instagram, and also Mentis' Instagram. So if you add that's going to be fun. I always enjoy seeing people in real life and on space.
As he does some amazing, you do a lot of Instagram reels, don't you? Almost every day you must be doing them.
Oh, it's just because you're too kind.
I find them fascinating.
But not many people.
But I love watching them. They're great. And you were in some sort of museum thing. Was it yesterday? You were showing some really interesting sort of museum
It was
pieces
actually
and
it was a physical technical faculty of the university. You know what? That was a great idea. That actually they preserved the how do I call it? The piece of architecture from old times, like from Nikolai times, I think, or early Soviet times. And they preserved it in a new design, like very nice design that they built for this new faculty. And there's a lot of
very
stuff
interesting.
going on.
So
Yeah, that's where I watched the theater of everything film.
I can certainly recommend your channel, your Instagram. It's
Everything is in Russian, though. I sometimes I'm too lazy to correct and type. I hate typing.
But there is a C translation. There's a little C translation button, and sometimes that gives you the English version of it, which is quite useful sometimes. But yeah, but I would like to be able to learn. If you put the English well, what's your language? What language is yours? Is it Russian or is it something?
It's mostly Russian. It's the
else,
easiest way to type. I hate typing on Instagram. I just hate these, texting things, and that's why I kind of, I'm too lazy to correct things.
Yeah. But it is fascinating, see the language side of things, and where you go.
I have some posts about the trash and local city and whatever. You can find a lot of the mixture of things in my Instagram. Oh, I also had
really interesting.
the post on stories about. I think that was some museum. Was it Russian? No, it doesn't look Russian. I think that's some Universal museum. Yeah, I try to post some nice stuff, but still. Yeah, don't remember.
Ooh.
Yep, I was trying to find it.
It's very good.
Anyway, I'll be happy to see you on Instagram just as it is. And if there are more people,
Yes,
maybe I'll
you
consider
mentioned,
typing more in English so that way my mindset kind of
Perhaps I'll
switches.
do you the interview. You mentioned an interview as well at some point, didn't you?
Oh, yeah. But it's not super relevant. I talk about my English teaching and something that is interesting to me, not too much about these things. That's why I enjoy this space, because it's different. Oh, there you go. Very cool. It's like writing books. Maybe one day I'm gonna create something interesting. We'll see.
Center souls. So I do very much go into what are souls, what is consciousness, and that. And of course, this is all science fiction. I may be completely wrong, but at least it's a consistent view across several books.
Yeah.
So,
I think that
that's what I'm trying
speculation
to
is
look at.
you have a very profound level of using facts and stuff, and like everything like that is on the edge of the existing paradigm of science, and you just take it beyond that. That's how you actually create new things and new theories.
I do, yeah.
Imagine.
I try to base it on existing theories, existing ideas, and that. Take it that bit further and make it more consistent as well, and make it fun eventually. Yeah.
I enjoy it.
Yeah.
Paul,
Well, thank you for sharing it.
You didn't comment even once tonight.
Yeah, Paul's been quiet today.
Hey, Rizza.
I tend not to comment about things I don't know about.
Good
Yeah.
approach. I do that all the time, you know. I just
Welcome
talk
to the theory of
about
everything.
yes. Oh, that was. You are going to attract more women, I think, if you use that voice. Actually, this is when I asked my husband. Actually, when we choose partners, I think women pay a lot of attention to the tones of voice. So yeah, be aware of that. And I can't speak for all women, but when I think women choose the partner, they choose many factors, but smell included. I think smell is more prioritized for women, whereas the voice is more important for men. Just a fun fact.
Interesting. Yeah.
But I think it's a subconscious.
Actually, it's something. A topic you might want to one day for one of your talks that's is relevant to outspace, because I've been noticing this, is that how we engage emotions through things like outspace, because I've been having a lot of conversations with particularly ladies who got very emotionally attached to avatars.
True,
and they know that they probably may never meet these people, and when they split up they have a real crisis.
It's
and
true.
I've almost become a counselor.
I
get no end of a good number of ladies come to me and tell me about their latest split up, and I'm all sympathizing, and then they say it was only in outspace, not in the real life. I think one person, the husband had actually left them in real life, and you can sympathize, but it is interesting that it's because it's an environment that it's fairly new to us, and the emotions carried through it are very powerful. And I think particularly for females, but it's a topic you could cover slightly, couldn't you? Because you could talk about
it's an interesting topic, yeah, definitely.
how we're getting it. Yeah, it's just an idea anyway. Yeah.
Yeah, how would you formulate the topic then for such a thing, like 3D emotions?
Well,
sensory
something.
Name
it. Yeah. She's.
Oops.
Dave, I'm not coming on to you, but she said, but can you fall in love in outspace? So that could be the title. Can you fall in love in outspace?
Love online.
Or something like that. We could talk about it because it will be increasing as 3D environments, like outspace, become more and more realistic in years to come. I think it's going to affect the way that we develop these relationships. I mean, we had the old days of chat lines, where I think you just had one line, not that I've ever used them, but tap away text, hello,
People
blah, blah,
fell
blah.
in love
But it's so much more
Usenet.
powerful in 3D because we've got hands and the voices as well. You're talking about our voices. They're very interesting and pretty, and the avatars are quite pretty.
Exactly.
I mean, they're a lot prettier than most of us. Certainly prettier than I am, I mean, there's
Well,
picture, but never mind.
I can't agree to that, but still. Yeah, it is true. I think symmetric faces and big eyes and maybe like just the design of character.
Yeah.
I don't know what makes
They're very-
I was surprised when I started hearing these stories about people
cute.
falling in love and I think you mentioned that some people had the whole space for kissing. I'm like, what? This is strange. Like,
was it Shushu, isn't it? He has a love room, doesn't he? Yeah, love world and things like that.
It's
Love
really nice
Hotel.
too. It's a really nice
I have
space.
contributed to
Love
it.
Hotel.
I have.
Oh.
I've made some writing on it.
Contributed.
2D is crap.
Oh,
That's
right, good.
I'm the bard of Love Hotel. 2D is crap.
Nice.
That's right, yeah.
yeah, I wonder what the nymphs are right now. Like, that's interesting. Oh, by the way, Henyon, I think we were together. When we went to that world where Shushu was telling us about these places.
The nymphs one. There was the
Yep.
nymphs one, wasn't
Uh-huh.
it? Where
What's
we
the
were looking
progress
at
on
that?
that?
Was amazing.
Have you been to that after?
Oh, I
that?
think he had a couple of events where you could talk to I think they're twins, I think they're Russian ladies or
Popov
Polish
sisters.
or Czech or something,
Mhm.
who created those walking dolls.
Mhm.
I can't remember the name now. The something
Popov,
sisters they were
Popovs.
called. Is that? Are they,
But I think
yeah.
they made their real dolls and he modeled them or something,
Yeah.
right? I thought that they actually made
Yeah.
those dolls and then he took them in.
I think that that's both. That's probably.
I thought
they
they
were,
created the anime. Yeah.
I think
I
that's
don't know.
both. I think
I missed the beginning of the.
as far as I remember, I think he said that they created these 3D models for something like in LA or something. So
that's what I thought.
Okay.
And they.
Yeah.
I can't wait to see that how that project plays out. It's a really cool world.
It's nymphs, isn't it? The nymphs one,
yeah.
and there's several worlds that
There
you
was
go
like a
through.
third chapter or something when I was checking all out the worlds. Maybe we can segue into that world and check it out.
Yeah, there was 1, 2, 3, 4, 6.
I think that's the like almost.
It is amazing.
Yeah, it's a cutting edge of the what we have in Outspace. I think they put so much luminosity and Andy, like a lot of talented people were involved into this project.
And of course, Nico does some very good science. He does the solar system, and he does that Proxima B world as well. That's Nico.
The solar system crashes me every time I go there for some reason.
Really?
Yeah, everybody else is fine, and it just bombs me.
Oh, Santorini House,
Right.
by the way,
Yeah,
also was very, very beautiful. Like the designer, like furniture and stuff like that. It was created by the guy. What was his name? Nightcrawler. Pretty nice space. It has a photograph of Santorini and like a nice house with good design.
If you are interested in seeing like architecture like that, I think it's kind of rough on the Oculus, but I know it loads. It's called. Hold on, I'm looking in my favorites for it. It's really cool. They did really good normal maps, so all the textures have like you can see kind of like the 3D nature of like the spackle and things like that on here.
What if we go traveling around the worlds right now? We didn't do that before. Maybe Cornelius can take us to his world first.
Oh, it's called Realistic Scandinavian Home.
Scandinavian Home. Yeah, if you have it in your favorite, maybe you can go there. Let's go to Cornelius' place. If you can create portal. I think I changed. Yay, yes. I changed the settings so people can throw portals now. Okay, everybody else who wants to join. Mendes, are you coming?
Yeah.
It's the end of the event, so I think the after party can be this way.
Ooh.
And yep, confirm.
Confirm.
San Francisco. Do 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 do.
Changes as you get near the different as you get near the different speakers.
Go.
That's exactly what I hoped would happen when I got into the middle. Oh, cool.
It's brilliant, isn't it? Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
they all
it's
come
great.
together. Ah.
Cornelius, do you mind if I share this?
Party hard.
There's more if you go in the middle. Fizzle. If you
I
go
was there.
right on the middle.
Nice.
bit.
Oh, right on the middle. Oh, how yeah. Violin.
Oh.
It's really nice to see you guys in the center. It's so cool.
You're
that you visit here? Like,
Well, yeah, because this is a cool place. It has a very nice design, and from last time you actually added this pathway, which makes it even more intuitive. It's pretty cool.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, of course, please. That's the idea. Yeah.
Sensory overload, but it's brilliant. Yeah.
Yeah, but you can
Oh,
always
yeah.
step away, and
That's
it's gonna
amazing.
be silent. It's like a party place.
But that's the best audio world I think I've come across so far in terms of audio.
Yay! Thanks to Cornelius.
Oh,
Very
thank
good,
you.
very good.
That's nice.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm doing a series of these. I think that it's kind of sound sculptures, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I have like 5 different ideas, and I'm working on those ones.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's part of more
Wow.
coming. Okay, what was the second
Yeah,
word we
brilliant.
were going to join? Fizzle. I think you brought up the.
Oh, so that one it could be a little challenging. Hold on, I'm trying to remember what the workaround is to favorite in 2D mode. Hold on, so I can get back here.
If you see the menu on your left, it's there's a on at your 10 o'clock, like you see you are here. If you click that.
No, I know that. It's just I don't. When I'm in 2D mode, I don't see that. So actually, I think
you don't see that. It's weird.
I think Fizzle has some advanced mode of. I think you're wearing
there's something,
the headset, but with the computer, right? In the computer.
Not right now. I'm not. When I'm doing that, it's fine. But it's when I don't do that I just like the menus don't function well for me, and I don't really get it.
Hey, Isaac.
Hello, everybody.
Hey.
Paul is still there around the warp.
Isaac. Hello, Isaac.
Nice to
I'd
see
say
you
you were
here,
related.
Oh,
You have similar
You're
hairdo.
You are
It's a
everywhere
star,
and nowhere.
Everywhere and nowhere.
Alien is everywhere and nowhere.
Nowhere.
Different dimensions.
Yeah, this stone actually looks like a potato.
Soundscape 001, that's enough. I'll just get on the website. Hold on.
When I was a kid, I would peel potatoes like this.
Silence potato.
Silence potato. Yeah. Couch potato. Sound potato.
Perhaps it's the output of a dinosaur.
Oops. Could be that too.
Oh, I love that you're visiting, guys. It's so cool to see you all
Yay,
here.
it's meant to be visited. Why not? Maybe we can attract some people and they can come to visit some flavored spot. Yeah, it's nice to bring some people sometimes because it pops up in the popular world, so maybe some people will drop in just to see what's going on. Okay, so are we going to the next place?
Oh yeah, okay.
Yay!
This one can take a while to load, and I think it's iffy about whether it fully renders for every person on an Oculus, but I think it's a pretty cool project whoever made it.
There you go.
Probably got a sauna.
A realistic Scandinavian home. We want to explore some worlds.
Everybody connecting?
Yep.
Okay, here we go.
Anybody else?
Zoe.
Yeah, realistic Scandinavian home. Look for popular spaces anyway. Вау, ни хрена себе. 550. Боже мой.
Компьютер.
О, пиздец. Ни хрена себе. Oh my god, it finally loaded. It's been...
Oh, there you are. I just came back. Can you see anything, Ozzy?
Yeah, it's beautiful. Yeah.
Okay,
So
good.
many
A lot
details.
of people couldn't. Everybody just went to the cyberpunk world. I crashed and decided to pop back in here and see if you had loaded yet.
Oh yeah, Cornelius sends me some come visit place.
Yeah, isn't it cool?
Oh nice, yeah. Succulents. I love succulents.
You see what I mean about the detail on the wall? If you get close, you can see the dimension to the like the spackle.
Oh wow, like yeah, there's a lot of detail, a lot of different what was it? Oh, my language mode is I'm losing it. Yeah, different factor, yeah, yeah, just whatever.
Oh hey, I set up the Discord. I don't know if you noticed.
Yeah,
I decided to go with
as a collective message, but
I
forgot
decided
to
to go with kind of an abstract. The channel names are like order and chaos as opposed to off topic, on topic. If that gets too
nice.
confusing, we'll just change it to something more specific.
No, it's fine. It's fine. Sounds good. Nice. There's so many details. This one is a thing from. It's so realistic. Oh my god, it's so cool.
And the furniture is real. Like this lamp here is a real.
Yeah, I recognize it. Yeah,
hanging.
it's from IKEA.
It's IKEA.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of things from IKEA actually. I can recognize that.
I want to live in this house so bad.
Oh yeah, it's correct. Is it your project?
I love all the light. No. It's just one of the first things I found in Altspace, and it's one of my favorite things.
Oh really? Favorite. Okay, Jimmy created this Scandinavian home. This world is large down.
Most people, though, you'll find if someone's not on a computer.
Yes, I
so you're on 2D right now.
500 megabytes. I think that's a lot for the headset.
Yeah, people who are on their Oculus, they just load into like a white fog.
Yeah, Helion sends me another invite. follow me. Need assistance?
Yep.
Yeah, I'm gonna hit the visit button. Okay. Come on. Do your magic. There you go.